Well, good morning from Auckland, 9 o'clock here in New Zealand, and 9 p.m. in the evening over in the European Union, France and Finland, and even on the other side it's a bit different in England, but that's fine. So close to the end of the month, the 7th, they could get in by the 13th if they're lucky. Weather's changing all the time, so the days are ticking by. Meanwhile, we're still waiting for sea freight shipment from the UK with all our gear, all our banners and flames and bits and pieces. Still not here yet. Supposed to be here a week ago, but anyway, hopefully I have something to put up. And it's all happening. Yesterday, the news was we had an Epirb alert, which put us into a code red for a very short period of time. Because we got the call from MRCC in Australia that Maiden's Epirb had been activated, and we went through the whole process. They were attempting to contact them, so were we. Then we checked our messages, and we saw a message there from many hours before that Maiden had actually lost their Epirb over the side. It was washed off the boat. I think it was their automatic deployment Epirb. It was a false alarm, by the way, so it was shut down pretty quickly. And so an Epirb is kept in a special little case and has effectively a hydrostatic release. So if the boat went down in a hurry, you don't have to do anything. The cover pops off, the Epirb comes out. When it gets in the water, it activates, okay? And when it turns on, you know there's someone's in trouble. And normally the Epirb, when it hits the water, will actually go off within seconds, usually within 15 to 20 seconds, less than a minute for sure. There's the specifications they have to have. So we don't know the whole story yet, but we know enough to know, first of all, it was a false alarm and that it was an Epirb, not a PLB, that was activated. So the message came through to us at 6:30 in the morning, roughly 6:30 in the morning, and it came on the normal system, okay, as if it was a tweet. And we don't monitor the tweets every time they come in because we might get 20 messages or more a day. And so it wasn't until we had the Epirb alert that we checked for messages and saw it in amongst all the other messages. So it would have been normal procedures. When that happens, we get a phone call straight away on the emergency lines from the boat, letting us know that's happened. But anyway, it all worked out. But the fascinating thing is, and this is what we'll look into, is if the Epirb went over the side about 6:30, it didn't actually turn itself on and activate until about 20 past 10 yesterday afternoon. Yesterday morning. So it was some hours later. So in other words, the Epirb had been floating around apparently for many hours before it turned itself on, which is not meant to happen. So that's an interesting investigation that we'll find out and double check, because the manufacturers will want to know and all sorts of things there. So anyway, the process, the way it worked then was, MRCC called us. And then we check for messages, because then we send a message to the boat, see what's going on, okay. We found that, turned it all off, and it was only active. We were only code red for about 5 minutes again. So that was a good outcome, and that process of notification worked. So that was all good. And nothing else really. There's everyone's getting all sorts of weather. The weather is getting really interesting. So we'll get across and get straight into it. And see what we've got here coming out of the Southern Ocean into all the highs and lows and small systems and so on that make life challenging for the sailors when they're out there. There's a couple of I'm happy to see that. Okay, I was about to send an alert to Spirit of Helsinki, and they finally altered course, because I couldn't work out, first of all, where they were going. But later on, you'll see there's a bit of a blow coming down here. I thought I had no idea why they were heading down here. But at that rate, if they didn't turn and start to get across, they would head straight for it. So anyway, I'll explain that in a minute. So I'm just happy to see that they've altered course. So a few things happening, Penduic up there, translated there, the Middle Fleet here. Interestingly, if you've heard Galliana's SoundCloud from yesterday, they're going on a bit of what we call a Cook's Tour. A tourist route. Tapio sailed past the southern tip of Tasmania, Southwest Cape, back in the 2018 Golden Globe race, and he wants to go and do it again. So he's actually going up there to have a look, which is very interesting indeed. Actually, I forgot to do something here, just so those people that like to see me, boom, boom, we're back there. Okay. So anyway, more of that in a minute. We'll start off with the back end of the fleet again. Just drop this down a bit. Sterner and Explorer trundling along quite nicely. We're watching this system here, but it looks as if it's going to go up and around them and dump down here, so they should be okay. We haven't given them any weather alerts yet, but we probably will tip them off. They're not racing, so we can give them a forecast just for the hell of it, which we'll probably do just later today. So here it is here. Explorer trundling along in this northerly 8.6 knots, and they did about 197 miles yesterday, quite a respectable distance. And Sterner 7.7 knots in a little bit less breeze, 185 nautical miles. We spoke to Sterner yesterday as well, and all's well on board. They're having a good time, but they're certainly missing Rufus, their skipper, as an extra sailor on board. They're one down, so they've only got 7 on board, and they're coping with everything themselves quite fine. But they mentioned that it's harder for them to put spinnakers up when they may have wanted to, because there's less people on watch and things like that. So it is affecting their speed. But they'll be back up to a full complement of 8 when they get to Auckland. So all's well. Anyway, they're both making reasonable time. Let's have a look here and see what this system's going to do. It comes right down. Yep. So they'll be on a weather alert this morning. That's come down a bit since in the last few hours. So anyway, we'll have a look at that on Windy as well. I've got Windy to share with you just to show you what's happening in the Tasman, but there's probably quite a bit of breeze there. It's probably 35, gusting 45 or so, but it's moving very fast. So they'll get a bit of a kick, and then it's a straight, westerly airflow. So that's all gone through pretty quickly into the 8th. Pretty much the same again, westerly airflow. All looks pretty reasonable there. So that's all good for them. And we'll, as I say, we will give them a weather alert. That's changed a lot in the last 6 hours. Okay, back here to get rid of that. Okay, weather here and now for the fleet. White Shadow doing 8.4 knots, 200-mile day, which is pretty cool. They're enjoying that. Again, typical Southern Ocean stuff. Pick this up one more time. And Neptune slowly closing this mid group of the other three, Galliana, Evrika, and Outlaw, and they've been gaining steadily for the last couple of weeks. So happy with that, I'm sure. 9.4 knots, 211 nautical mile day. That's pretty good. They've had solid breezes for the whole time. Galliana 8.6, 217 nautical mile day. It's dangerous going into the coast here. Dangerous for sailing performance, because no matter what happens with the weather, it's quite common to have wind shadows here, and Tapio wants to get close enough to see the cliffs again. It's very spectacular, but it'll be a balancing act because they could park, irrespective of what the weather's doing. That just happens in the lee of the land. 8.7 knots for Evrika, 198-mile day, and pretty much holding station with the others. Outlaw 9.3 knots, 204 nautical mile day, and enjoying these conditions for sure. And still no suggestion, again, that they're going into Hobart for gas, which is a good thing. L'Esprit de Keep, 9.3, 203 nautical mile day, right next to Triana, which is just overtaking them, to Leeward, 8.5 knots for Triana, a 200-mile day. That's interesting when they're that close. I'll just pick this up so you can see it. When they're that close, it's an interesting comparison of boat for boat, because Triana's a Swan 53 and the L'Esprit de Keep is a Whitbread, much bigger, much lighter, potentially more powerful. Although their rig, the rig they have on the boat now, isn't the same height as the rig they had when they won the Whitbread many, many years ago. It's actually a shorter rig, a little bit stronger as well. So, but anyway, there's some heavy performance coming off Triana, that's for sure. They've been holding their own for a long time. So that's cool. And Triana's current status for IRC is second, first in adventure class as well. So Maiden dodging this hole. Their average speed for the day, for the 24-hour day, is only down to 126. They parked for a while, and they're currently doing 4.7, still light winds. They've got a light northerly with this, what's effectively a low pressure forming here. A little small one, just localized stuff, which is going to create, and you'll see more of that local weather. Spirit of Helsinki. It's hard to get the right scale here because I'm sharing a few things up the top, and it decreases the size of the screen. But anyway, Spirit of Helsinki currently doing 7.8 knots. And 174 nautical mile a day. Yeah, it was really strange that they were heading right across here. You can see the difference in the course of translated. They came boring across to the east. In fact, it's going south of east, and that's going away from Auckland, and they maintained that for some time, and the weather wasn't too bad. I would have thought it would have appeared they might have been better off coming down here, but at the same time, there's a big high forming, form in the Tasman, and they figured they better get the other side of it to come up the edge here. So it was probably just a repositioning. And again, they went south of east rather than just going east, but only they know what they've got. They're getting very various weather forecasts from Australia and New Zealand, so they make their decisions based on that. But I'm happy to see they've turned, and it'll make sense in a minute. So translated 9, not going as fast as the others, 7.7, but they've got lighter wind there, and 226 mile a day, and that should be correct. They were going really fast earlier on, so that's the averages. And Penduic is still doing 8.4. That's pretty impressive. They've probably got all their reaching gear up, big asymmetrics and so on, because they haven't had a whole heap of breeze. They haven't done 378 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. That's a glitch. And you can see there's lots of fluffy weather around. So let's just see what's going to happen here in the next 24, 48 hours. So I think we can all see that. Okay, so we'll just slide this through now, and you can see everything's starting to even out a little bit in here in terms of holes everywhere, right? It gets very fluky, and that can create winners and losers depending on what's happening. So this is over the next sort of 12 hours or so. It's a bit fluky, and then it starts to settle down very quickly. And they've all got this system, all affected by this high pressure system here. And they're on the back edge of it. So there's northerlies up the top, which will suit Penduic. She'll come roaring across maybe. And for translated 9, who knows what, but they can decide if they want to carry on in this direction or come over a little bit closer to the coast, because that'll be a northwesterly. And Spirit of Helsinki's got breeze as well. So they're now making a northeasterly course, which will get them away from what's coming up. Everything behind's got plenty of breeze, even Tapio, unless he gets really close. So, in fact, you can see this here. There's a huge wind shadow there, just to the lee of Tasmania, but he'll probably come across, have a peak, and then maybe dip down. He should be very aware of the wind shadows in the lee, because there's lots of mountains in here, which more or less can accentuate that fact as well. So anyway, back here to watch what's happening with this high. This is the predominant high between the fleet and Auckland. So it's strengthening, and then this is coming into tomorrow. And you can see when it's that strengthening, it's getting more intense. And so this northerly and northwesterly that's forming is getting stronger and stronger really fast. So translated will be moving across pretty quick, and Spirit of Helsinki will be transiting this as well. This is on day 2. Penduic, if they try to go the wrong side of this high, they're going to have a problem, because it becomes headwinds going through. But I think you'll see they're coming across, just sailing straight to the east. But that's only my guess. The others may come into this hollow here. So, but all those things down there, they're not lasting long. You can see how that changes really quickly. So they've still then got breeze. So there might be some inconsistencies. This is all showing 28, 31, 32 knots of breeze here. So there's no weather alert scheduled for any of these boats here. And as the mid fleet, this group here, come across, it starts to move a little bit, and we're watching it. But I've got windy up, and I'll show you what's happening. There you can see a lot of breeze starting to form up. But even still, and this is on the 8th of December at 16:30, there is still only 30, 31 knots in here of forecast wind. And then it's gusting higher. When you get 30, 31, it'll be gusting 45. And it was interesting to see that Maiden was getting 45, 50 when the gusts of 45, 50, they were seeing that. Helsinki as well, in some of those strong northwesterlies in the last few days, they talked about a 50 knot, peaking out at 50 knots. That's all the gust routine. There was nothing forecast over 31 knots for any of that lot, so we didn't give anyone weather alerts, and there was no real surprises as well, because if they're watching their barograph, they can see what's happening. They can see the northwester. They know it's coming around to the southwest later on, or the westerly. So there should have been no surprises. It just comes down to how strong is it going to go. And anyway, it's challenging for them because it can catch them short, but they're all coping well at the moment, which is good. And I'll look at this. In fact, I'll look at this right now on Windy, just to give you an idea where they'll be. Okay, so we got 40 and 160 east and 40 south. This is on the 8th, so translated is going to be over here somewhere, 160, 150 miles or more, 200 miles, day and a half. They're going to be up here somewhere. So they're up above 40 degrees south. Spirit of Helsinki, so you're going to be about 300 miles or so by the time we get there. So she'll be the other side of 160 again. They'll be through it by the time this is coming. And then Maiden should be holding a course up here. She'll be above it. And the rest of the fleet, about 300 miles, they'll be right on the front of this stuff. And I'm assuming they'll take the Rumline course. So they'll be coming the top end of this system at this time, which again is set up for 16:30 on the 8th. Now, if I go back here, I've got to see how we go. If I hit this one, we should come up with Windy, hopefully. Yep, there's Windy. Okay, so if I then come to Windy, this is actually set up for 1700 Zulu on the 8th. So where you see the Saturday the 9th there, that's local time. So Saturday the 9th in New Zealand at 6 a.m. is about 1700, which is only half an hour after where we were before. And this is 45 south. The others will be up here. But the biggest wind, this is forecast wind, northwesterly. It's all in 30s, 31s, 32. There's nothing over, sort of nothing over mid 30s at all. All right. So there's no weather alert that we're due to give them. Okay. And then to show you the gust rate, when you get winds of 31, 32 knots, your gusts, this is forecast gusts, are going to be in the 40s, 45. There's a 44 there. So yes, it's going to get very windy. But we base all our alerts on 35 forecast winds rather than gusts. Wave height here, just swap it over, just waiting for it to change. Not too bad, going to be about 4 meters because it's coming from the north. The sea doesn't get a chance to build up when it's coming from the north, if it's holding that for a few days. So if they're forecasting 4 meters, you might get 5 meters. And the period is 8 seconds, so they're quite close together, and that's because they're wind waves rather than huge ocean swells coming up from the south. It's from the Southern Ocean. When that happens, you can get massive ones, 20-meter seas, and the period can be 15 seconds because they're huge hills and valleys. But this is different with a nor'wester like that. So you can see there, again, nothing that suggests that we need to give anyone a weather warning there. They'll all see it coming. So now I'm going to go back here to our tracker map, and then if I hit it again, I'll come back, and you should have audio. Oh, we've got Windy on the side there, so that's cool. So now I'm on the tracker map, and we'll follow this through again, just to see what's happening with this high. So that's on the 8th, coming through 2 days out. It disappears as quick as it forms. It disappears again. And so this will be good for translated and so on, and even Penjuic. There's no issue now about headwinds because the center of the high has moved right over the top of Cape Reinga. So it's actually been moving northeast rather than east or southeast, which they often do. So this is a bit of a strange one. I'm wondering, because by then the cyclone's slowing down. Okay, so this is on the 9th, and I'm just wondering whether, that's why I went and had a look. I haven't seen that for a day or so. It might be partly because of this cyclone. It's funny how a cyclone way up there can affect the centers of the highs. So anyway, that's all good for the fleet. I'll see what that cyclone's doing in a minute in relation to New Zealand. So we're right through until the 9th now, coming through into the 10th. And by then, it's starting to get confusing. So by the 10th, so we're on the 7th, 3 days. If they've done this, Penjuic is going to be 600 miles. Translated is going to be right on this area here. So I think they could have reasonably good sailing for the next 3 days. Now, Penduic is absolutely not out of the game here, because they would have been coming across here somewhere, and we might actually find they converge and they're side by side. So it's going to be a real race to the finish for, well, not to the finish, but yeah, it's going to be a real race. The race is on for line on us. There's no question. Penduic's coming out of this whole Bass Strait thing looking okay, and it'll depend on the cards for weather, exactly what stacks up. And I think we might see some issues here with, if this forecast holds true, with the rest of the fleet, because there's absolutely, we'll be riding those northwesterlies down and end up here somewhere, and then that high secondary part of the high pressure, there's two they're colliding here, will make it challenging for them. They'll probably have light, but then it's going to all mold into one, and boy, big confusion. So this is the sort of stuff they'll be getting as they're getting close to Cape Reinga, which is still okay. They've got a spinnakers up and getting around. Big push coming up from down below, so that's not too bad. And we'll just project it through to the 13th just to see what's happening. Plenty of breeze, so that's going to be very good for all of them, because they've got a big following breeze coming up to Cape Reinga, and then if this holds, going around the northern tip of the North Island, they got plenty of breeze to reach down the coast. Okay, so it's beam sailing. This can be really challenging, and that's going to hold right through to the end. So it could be a fast finish down to Auckland. No sort of holes and calms and tricky bits. There goes the 13th. There's plenty of strong breezes there, and still a bit of breeze to the 14th. So it still could be achievable to see the first boat, either Penduic or translated, touch wood, on the 13th. So we'll watch this space, and a few challenges between now and then. Let's just have one quick peek at the leaderboard until here we go on IRC. See how far apart they are. Translated 40.19, Triana 41.21. So they're still translated moves a little bit ahead of Triana, only a couple of hours. So it's a day and a bit. And Galliana with Secure is 43. So they're not quite 3 days, less than 3 days behind translated. Maiden is behind that by half a day or something, by 3/4 of a day. Then Evrika, but Penduic is way down the line. So I think you could, as long as everything keeps moving forward normally, you could count out Penduic from IRC, but very much still in the hunt for line on us. So it's all very interesting and exciting. So that's it. Now, if I come back here and press this one, I can see what's going on with the questions. Okay. So see if there's any questions or comments or whatever. Morning from Auckland. Oh, we're getting Auckland people. Florida. Hi, old knee, Brian. G'day. Go all right. G'day. Hey, Dane from Skeleton Crew here. Hey, g'day, Dane. Good to see you. We're missing you guys. You should come over for a holiday. Anyway, evening from Plymouth. George, South Sweden. Sterner. Hang on, I'll flip past that. Where did I see Sterner? Whoop. Sterner and Explorer. Yeah, they're down the back. You missed that there at the beginning. We start from the back end of the fleet and come forward. So if you wait for the replay, I talk about Sterner and Explorer. They're about to get a weather update because there's a little pressure system happening right behind them. It's changed a bit overnight. So Christine, yeah, exactly. Aloha from Hawaii. What are the berthing arrangements of the fleet in Auckland? They're on the marina right in front of all the action. You can't miss them. Just come on down to the waterfront, keep walking along, and you'll see it's windy and all the rest of it. So the fleet will be a prime position there, and you'll see our office at the kiosk, and you'll see our container there with all the merchandise and bits and pieces in it. So look forward to seeing everyone. Leslie from Adelaide. Solar Sailor Rob on Insta is excited to be sharing the Tasman with OGR. Oh, Solar Sailor, that's the guy from Adelaide. Yeah, another guy trying to do another solo non-stop around the world, I believe. But I thought he would have been gone by now. Anyway, I thought he would have been further along. Anyway, I digress. Find the whole story from Belgium. Good on you, Catherine. Evening from Hampshire. Yeah, it's a good finish by the look of it, touch wood. Thanks, Janet. Thank you. That's cool. Thank you for the updates, especially when it comes to close finish. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll update everything with the ETA, so you'll see what's going on. Okay, that's it for me. So we'll see you again tomorrow, and thanks for following. Tell all your friends. See ya.